Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering the Braxtons, Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8. This is the season finale. And I gotta tell you how I was really over and through with this show, and somehow these sisters done pulled me off the ledge and back in. Please like this video in support of me. Also, you can share it and subscribe if you are new to this channel, and leave your comments below. Now let's get into these episodes. All right, y'all. So I won't be going through everything because episode 7 had a lot to do with Tawanda's wedding rehearsal and then also wedding. Tamar is, before we get there, Tamar, she's opting to get her new EP out. She has some singles that she really wants to be the leading single. However, her team, whom she trusts, says no, this should be it, and she's looking to get a Grammy. What I do know is that I did Google just to see where her music is, and it's number 3 on the Billboard chart. I forgot which category it is, but she's in number 3 right now. The rehearsal dinner goes forward. Trina's the only sister there. Tony couldn't make it there. The wedding day starts. Tawanda is pissed because she's trying to park her car. and it was already instructed to everyone, nobody's going to park in this parking spot. So then Tawanda got bridezilla. Like, for me as the bride, don't even get a parking spot. I get it. Very much so. Zilla out, girl. Braxton, her son, is not able to attend the wedding. He's graduating from the Navy and could not get away. Some people said, why did she schedule this around there? I don't know. And then the Navy and military is weird to me. After watching Boots is a new series that's on Netflix. Phenomenal. Y'all should check it out if you have Netflix. Boots. But how they separate you from your family and all that good stuff, it's a lot. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I can look at her evil for that. Did the son really want to come? Who knows? While she's getting prepared, all of a sudden she breaks out into tears. No one knows what's going on. Tawanda reveals that she's missing Tracy today. And she says for someone who doesn't cry, it just hit her. So it's shocking that this is even happening. Trina's comforting her, Miss Evelyn shows up with her date. Everyone's just asking, how you enjoying it? Like, he's pretty quiet or whatever, and we're just cool. You think that you would have another time with him? She's saying yes. I guess so. So go, Missy, and do your thing with whomever, with Mr. Buddy, and just do what you need to do. Normally, she would be turned off and just turn people away. Like, okay, we're going to do this for this wedding, but then that's it. But she's kind of open for something, nothing solid. I think at this point, he's going to have to be comfortable enough to now pursue her and say, hey, let's go on this date. Tamar speaks with a medium. She's going to be hosting a sisters retreat. She said, I don't know really how the sisters are going to handle all this, Tawanda is not going to be there because of her wedding and all that. And my biggest issues is with Tawanda. And the medium was like, so you really want to reconnect? She said, I want to resolve. When you use words like that, like, look, I don't really need to F with you. Let's just make sure that we are able to be peaceful with one another. She says the day that she confronted the sisters haunts her still. The medium says, are you willing to say I'm sorry too in this whole situation as far as taking accountability? She says, I'm the first person to say I'm sorry. What about Funky Dunedin? Is it because he's not family? You can't do that? Just saying. She says, I apologize first. Then she's in the confessional, and whomever is interviewing her is saying, what do you apologize for? I apologize for being not able to control my emotions and taking it to a place that it did not need to go. Y'all wanted the sisters to be so compliant to Tamar and what Tamar wanted. However, Tamar came in on some weird energy, meaning it was very accusatory and fault finding in people that had nothing to do with whatever. Vaughn, this is the wedding day, has to go to the hospital. We found out later that his doctor had told him to get there in the first place, and then he waited. And on the way there, we'll get there. So Trina came to the wedding, but then right after they had to leave, Tony found out about it. She didn't want to tell Tawanda because she didn't want Tawanda worrying on her day, her wedding day, and all that good stuff. And then she's just weighing, should I tell? Da 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 da. Like, I'm not really trying to stay that long in the first place. Like, but I can't really leave if I'm the sister or whatever, the only sister here. Da 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 da. Tony stayed during the whole thing, so cool that she finally respected her family that much. She was asking her mom, what should Evelyn was like, you could wait till after, whatever. Even though Tawanda's asking, where is she? But anyways, at the end of the episode, Tawanda asking, and then Tony finally says what happened. She said, oh, you could have told me that. Look, I'm a new bride or whatever. I know that you got to go be there with your husband. Come on. So now we learned that Vaughn doesn't just have a congestive heart failure. He also has early detections of kidney failure. Obviously, Vaughn don't really take care of himself. When he was on his way to the hospital, he had ordered a catfish dinner. He's not taking it serious. The doctor that he was with said, no, I told you to go to the hospital now, and you did all this, and then it got worse on you. Someone pointed out, it was Kempire, that Vaughn didn't listen to his woman doctor, but listened to the male doctor when it got to the extreme. I said, oof, okay. Well, dude, all I can say is, if you want to live, you will stop. Save your life instead of just being that hard-headed. You don't have to cut everything out. You need to just go on a detox. At least. Get it under control. Here and there, have a little something. But you just want to just still live the same life and expecting different results out of your body. Your body is saying, no. Get your life together or it's going to be taken away from you. Okay, so Tamar has invited the sisters to Malibu. Tawanda's not going to be there because she's on her honeymoon. Good excuse. I don't think Tawanda wanted to be there in the first place. Tamar has a blow-up doll of Tawanda since she's not there. We have a few little light moments. Tony's cutting her biscuit with a knife. Tony's has had an extraordinary life as far as being an artist, and I just don't have no complaints about it. If I have had as much opportunity as Tony, I would just probably be a different way. I got a different culture outside of the culture I was raised in. I don't think that she depreciates it. It's just like, I like this a little bit more. I'm a little bit more accustomed to this lifestyle. And Tamar was like, you really cutting up since you done got with Birdman. And then Tony don't want to talk about Birdman on the reality show. I don't know how that's going to work. Jenna Lyons. Shout out to the Real Housewives of New York reboot. Yeah. Tamar starts talking about Trina's anxiety. But I don't know if it's now or whatever, but something else happens where they go to get a sound bath. Remember on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, if you watch, or even on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, they did it there with Portia. Phaedra tried to do it on Married to Medicine and all that good stuff, Reiki and stuff. Trina is more skeptical of it because she believes in God, all that power, God, She has heavy roots in that, and she's just skeptical of it. However, she did try to participate. Tony and Tamar are down for it. They do the whole, it's a more meditation type thing. It took a while for Trina to get comfortable in doing it. Eventually, like a half hour later, she finally laid down. She was trying to do it. And then I think the session was over 15 minutes later, and she got up and said it didn't really work because I just couldn't really concentrate. Anyways, we find out that Trina has anxiety for some other things that have been going on in her life that she's not willing to put out on TV. Oh. Now these people just don't even care about a fourth wall. There is no fourth wall on this show. But Tamar was saying, look, I wasn't trying to put that on TV. I stopped that anxiety Don't put that on me, da-da-da-da-da. So they're going back and forth, and Tony was like, look, Tamar, it's good to just say okay and let that go. And Tamar says, that's how you would do it. That's not how I would do it. Okay. So we finally get into the talk about who gave that my address. She asks the ladies again, did you give out my information? Did you know that this was happening? Trina says Mikey contacted her and she referred a lawyer to him. She was not involved in anything, da-da-da-da-da. Tamar turns to Tony and apologizes and said, I accuse you of something and I should not have done that, and I apologize. I should not have lashed out at you. They talk about the relationship between Trina and Tamar. Every Sunday they would get together and have dinner. There would be days of football and all that, and then it stopped. Tamar wanted to know why. And Trina said, well, you said that you didn't want to speak to anyone of us anymore. And she said that is because of y'all were conspiring with this man to take my business, which is, I can't even just say stretch, but shout out to Dustin Ross. I can't even say that. It's totally nuts. It's one podcast. He couldn't have destroyed your business. He said, don't talk about this on your broadcast. Tamar expressed that she didn't feel like the sisters had her back and allowed this to go on. This is your friend, Tony. And Tony's like, what was I supposed to do? I didn't even hire him. How am I going to tell him to back off of you? This is a legal matter. I don't even understand the logics. I know you thought that they could have influence over that, Tamar, but you got to know that that was beyond their control. Your brother, Mikey, did all this to stop his daughter and to stop you from talking. They get on the fight. And who hit whom? They went back and forth. Tamar felt like she got pushed. You put your hands on me. I didn't put my hands on you. I was separating you two. And of course, anyone can say, well, you shouldn't have been putting her hands on her and she got reactionary. You can put that point. But if y'all never fought, because you said that, one, you said, Tamar, Tony and I weren't going to fight. We weren't raised that way. And Tony said in her confessional, they'd never fought before. So even with Trina separating you all, why were you in a rah-rah state to fight? And to think that that person was attacking you, your sister. Trina was like, you put your hands on me, but I didn't want to do that to you because we're sisters and we don't do that. And she said, you should have, and you should have, Trina. But she said, no, we're sisters, whatever. So then we had to roll the tapes to say how Trina put her hands on Tamar. First, people just saying, you only put your hands on me, pushed me. You didn't do that to Tony. I went back and watched it. She did it to both. You got it first because you were the closest one, because she was getting in there. But she did that to both of you to separate you all. And you did all that. She apologized for it and all that. Trina was like, I'm not taking it back. I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do. And I didn't do that to you as far as try to hit you. Anyways, Tamar took it back as far as Trina putting her hands on her. And Trina took back what she did. Or what she said about Tamar. Or trying to say that she didn't put her hands on her. Basically just try to come to resolve. Trina first tried to say that you got up in Tony's face. And Tamar was like, she did it first. I was the second one. She did it first. Until Tony said, no, I did it first. That's when Trina acknowledged that, oh, Tony was first. And then Tamar had to say, you see how that is? You didn't want to admit that Tony was first until Tony said something to you. Tamar brought up a good point. And you know I don't see it for Tamar whatsoever. But she brought up some points. Like, y'all sat up there and wanted to blame everything on me and make me the scapegoat. She brought out a point. There was no way that she could be gaslit or whatever. You now want to say that, oh, it wasn't right. You now want to claim Tony is first. No. She got it. I think Tamar has learned how to fight with her sisters. Not as far as duking it up. But she knows how she's going to have to handle her sisters if they're going to be productive, because there is some manipulation. She manipulates also. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. So at this point, they've been able to resolve that. There's going to take a lot of healing and all that. I don't know if they'll ever talk about Ashley on the show. I mean, they can't really. But yeah, that was that. Somehow they pulled it all together, and I think there's going to be a season 3. I really didn't think there was going to be a resolve. You had Tamar didn't even want to promote the show. So I was like, well, I guess they didn't give up on the show. No, they're coming back. And I think that Tamar was smart, and she orchestrated this whole thing to make sure that there was a season 3. So I guess her producer skills have really amped up. See me saying some positive things? So she was able to admit and apologize for a lot of crap. And I was able to receive what she was giving in this episode. I think that she was still lying about some stuff, but I can't get everything out of this girl. But y'all can tell me about what you thought of these last episodes. You know, this is all I got. You know, will you be tuning in for season 3? Because there's going to be a season 3. You think that there's going to be a Tamar and Tawanda showdown eventually? I think eventually we got to see something, but they went too far. But anyways, my sisters have done everything to each other. It took some years. They fought like cats and dogs and all that good stuff. Is there a way of reconciliation? Maybe. But anyways, thank you for stopping by. Like this video, share, and subscribe. And leave your comments below. And until the next video, peace.